is by the Fin Addicts, Jimmy Kearns and Brian Byrne on the Fin Addicts Network.
What is going on? Welcome into the Fin Addicts podcast on the Fin Addicts Network. As always, I am your host, Jimmy Kearns. I'm joined by Brian Byrne, but don't even worry about him. First, we're going to get to the real star of the show today. We got the greatest left tackle in Miami Dolphin history, 1990 Rookie of the Year, a 7-time Pro Bowler, 2-time first team All-Pro. If I keep going on with this list, this will all you'll hear for the whole podcast, so I'll cut it there. We got Richmond Webb in the house. What is going on, man? How are you?
Hey, I'm doing good. How y'all doing today?
Maintaining, brother.
Before we begin, Richmond, I was ordered by my wife. You were very kind the other day to wish her a happy birthday on Twitter. She tried to find the tweet and say thank you, and she said, I don't know how this works, but please tell Richmond thank you very much for the happy birthday wishes. So her apologies for not.
No apology needed. I'm still trying to figure out some stuff on Twitter myself. So me and your wife in the same company, so she's good. Tell her don't even worry about it. I hope she had a great day, though.
Definitely. Thank you.
Thanks, Richmond. Hey, do you mind? We're going to hop into some questions for you, man. We want to hear about some past, have your take on the future, what it's looking like, the current team. You mind if we hop into some stuff?
Oh, I'm ready when you guys are. I'm waiting on you.
All right, man. So May 4th, Dolphins organization took a huge loss. Coach Shula passed on. We know that, you got to play, 5 years under him, I believe it was?
6, I think. Yeah, 6.
6 years under him.
Mm-hmm.
What can you give us something what it was like? He's one of the greatest coaches of all time. Can you tell us a little bit what it was like to play for him and just your impression of him as a coach and just some insight?
Well, the thing is that, very seldom you get an opportunity to play with someone of Coach Shula's stature. I mean, you think about each decade he won and each decade he basically coached in. So to have that type of resume and to win, not year in and year out, but decade after decade after decade like that, that's a standard it's almost impossible to repeat. But just have a tremendous amount of respect for Coach Shula. The thing with him was he gave me my opportunity and drafted me to the Miami Dolphins, and so I'm forever indebted. But I got a chance to learn it the correct way. And what I mean by that was, discipline, surrounded by guys. When I got there, it was already set in place, with Marino, Mark Duper, Mark Clayton. Those were the guys that were the leaders on the offense, and they demanded excellence. So it was just a trickle-down effect that, hey, if you're going to be here, this is the way things are done. And, you take pride in things. And not only just being a great player, but you had to do the mental side of it as far as watching film, that type of preparation in order to be successful. And he always preached about the little things, mental errors, not making penalties. And I think a lot of times when you're matched against a team that might be a little bit better or just as good as you, it's the little things a lot of time and that discipline that makes a difference in you coming out with a win versus a loss. So, and those things transition not only in football, but, in life as well. And those were instilled in me, charity, giving back to those that were less fortunate than I was. And, Coach Shula was a big part of that. I remember when I came in United Way, but he was, philanthropy. He was always looking for opportunities to give back several organizations. So, and then he was able to transition after being a football coach that long to being a tremendous, great businessman and still continue to do charity work and stuff. So I think that just speaks volume. It's not only that he was well-rounded. He checked all the boxes. He did it all. And I think that's why you see other guys, Marino and some of those guys that had success because they went through it and they remember some of the stuff that he instilled in us as players. and where we're able to be successful even after life after football.
It seems like one of these things that separates, the real great coaches from, some really good coaches is that teaching you how to be a man also, like how to carry yourself outside of the world of football. Like you said, that mental toughness and that discipline that carries over into your everyday life. And that's what it seems like those great ones have. And that what, he had as well.
On the question, it's amazing you bring that up, because I think most of the time you come into the National Football League, you probably now you can be anywhere from 20 to 21, but I was 22, normally 22, 23 years old. And you're just thinking about playing in the NFL, where I think he had lived his life and he realized that eventually it's a cycle. You only get to play this game for so long, but you're going to have to transition into something else after the game is over. So I think he just worked that into his coaching. And, I even talked to guys like Zonka, Kick. Some of the guys played in the 70s, and it's the same. I mean, I think he was tougher probably on them back then. And when I played in the 90s, he was much younger, but, the stories are consistent. What he demanded of them was the same thing he demanded of us. So he figured it out, and he didn't reinvent the wheel. I'll just say it that way.
Absolutely. Do you, we've heard a lot of like favorite memories shared since his passing. I hate to put you on the spot, but you got a favorite memory for us?
The one that really, two sticks out to me is when we were in Philadelphia on the road, and I just can't remember, but I remember either Dan got hurt and couldn't finish the game. Doug Peterson finished the game in Philly. We were on the road, and that's when he became the winningest coach in the NFL. So I was fortunate to be part of that. And what was kind of ironic, I'm saying somebody, was that, Doug finished the game, and now he's the head coach of the Philadelphia Eagles. Yep. So, you're taking a guy that's second, third string quarterback, and not that he planned, but, you learn those things. And he was up under some great coaches, but I'm sure he would testify and definitely tell you that Coach Shula made a huge impact on him as well, even when he was with the Dolphins. And then I can remember my rookie year making the Pro Bowl, and we did the announcements in the meeting, and he saved my name for last. And it was a shock because I didn't know, but I could tell he was truly happy that, I had got that award, and he felt it was deserving. So, the thing is, I tell people, you can have a tough coach, and I say, but the thing is that if players know you generally care about them and they'll trust you, they'll lay it on the line for you. And I think that was the way, we knew Coach Shula, he was tough, but we knew he cared about us. So, we just went out there and just did what we had to do.
Yes, sir.
Richmond, you touched on something that I kind of wanted to bring up. You said you were 22, 23 years old, getting drafted in the first round, moving to South Beach. And I know that Coach Shula was teaching, discipline and integrity, but how'd you survive that? It's got to be from Texas A&M. That's a big difference moving to South Beach.
It's a little swing on the pendulum, huh? The good thing about it was when I first got there, South Beach it had just started to take off, but it was, even though it was a couple of clubs or whatever down there, it was just a bunch of abandoned warehouses. And I just kind of think now, I just said, man, if I was able to buy some of that property way back then, that would have been a smart move, but you're just not thinking of stuff like that. But yeah. I guess the thing that kind of saved me, I was never a guy that just did a whole bunch of partying or whatever. And like you said, coming from Texas A&M, most of the stuff at A&M closed up at the latest by 2:00. And in Miami, you could leave the club and go straight to breakfast. So it was like, I just couldn't hang out like that. I'd be tired and yawn, and I said, I'll have to hang out in the off season. I didn't do a lot of partying during the season. So I think that's what kind of saved me. But I love Miami. It was great. I love the warm weather, everything, and the people treated me good down there. So I had an awesome time down there.
Richard, when you were selected 9th overall, they also chose Keith Sims in the second round that year. Was that helpful to have that? You guys lined up right next to each other. throughout. Was that helpful to have another rookie that, I mean, there's got to be a lot of pressure. You're walking in, you're now protecting the blind side of future Hall of Fame quarterback Dan Marino. Was it helpful to have that rookie with you?
It was the best thing for my career. I don't think Keith gets enough credit sometimes, but we were great. Came in as rookies, but you would have swore we probably played together since we were in kindergarten. I mean, it was amazing how we just gelled. And I give another credit to Coach Shula, and we had a great offensive line coach also as well, John Sandusky, one of the best ever to do it. But I think it was 2 veterans that were not under contract, so they wasn't in training camp. So we got all the reps, and not only in practice, but in the preseason games. And I was like, man, you kind of see like the starters and stuff during preseason. You play maybe the first quarter, the first half, and then you come out. And he's like, "Nah, y'all staying in there." I was like, "Man, why are they making us play so much?" Putting it together. But Coach Shula was getting us ready for what he envisioned, and I guess he seen we actually were really progressing well and possibly had a chance to play. But it was unheard of to put 2 rookies on the blind side of quarterback, and not only a quarterback, but Dan Marino, and he was already a legend. When we got there, so my motivation was, I didn't want to be the guy that gets Dan Marino, because you don't want to be remembered in that light. So that was motivation enough for me, and I'm probably for Keith too. So we bonded together, and it was a match made in heaven. I'm telling you, that was the best thing, and I give him a tremendous amount of credit for, he made my jobs easy a whole bunch of times. So great player.
You were talking about how you played so much and how.
His birthday.
Oh, today's his birthday?
I think today is Keith. Yeah, I did. I think I wished him happy birthday on Facebook. So, yeah, matter of fact, today is his birthday. Yeah, it is. That's it.
Well, happy birthday, Keith Sims from the Fin Addicts, for sure.
Absolutely.
So you were talking about how much you got to play, and you guys didn't get any breaks. I was looking back at your first year earlier, and I saw 2 of your first 3 games. The second game was against Buffalo, Bruce Smith. Your third game, you went up to New York and got Lawrence Taylor. When you came, and I read that Lawrence Taylor had 0.5 sacks. That the 2 games, the O-line as a whole only surrendered 1 sack combined against those 2 legends. I mean, did that coming out of those games, were you like, all right, well, I guess I belong here? Like, what was it like going against those 2 legends right off the bat?
Well, we could. Okay.
We got
Sorry
him.
about that.
No, don't worry about it.
We can rewind the tape. I mean, going through preseason, and I can tell you, first game was against Chicago. I played against Richard Dent. Second game was, I think, Philadelphia Eagles. I played against Clyde Simmons, and Keith played against Jerome Brown. I'm sure you know who that guy is.
Yep.
Third game, we played against Denver Broncos, and it was Carl Mecklenburg and Simon Fletcher, 2 great pass rushers. And my last game, we played against Minnesota Vikings. So I think he played against, like, Millard, and I played against Chris Dolman. So from the start, the time we stepped on the field, it was like the plate was full, and we couldn't get the food off of it fast enough. So, but you're right. And then, man, playing against, like you said, Bruce Smith, Lawrence Taylor. And then I think we went to the playoffs. I played against Derek Thomas. We played Kansas City. So, and then Leslie O'Neal. So it seemed like every week it was a guy. So you couldn't relax, and it was always somebody that was top notch. And I was like, man, it just don't end. Every week you got to be ready to go out there and prove yourself again. It wasn't easy.
You literally just named, like, I think 8 of the top 10 guys that finished their career in sacks, and still to this day they're still in the top 10 of sacks. That's a murderer's row. Now, you had – I couldn't believe this when I saw this, but you played Bruce Smith 14 times in your career and only gave up 3.5 sacks. The guy had 200 sacks at the end of his career, nobody had that kind of success against him. What was your secret?
I still hadn't figured it out. I just knew it was going to be, 4 quarters of hell and just 60 minutes that you had to be prepared to just go to battle with that guy. They talk about his pass rushing skills, but he played the run just as tough as he did the pass rush, and it was just an all-day battle. So you just had to get ready to fight from start to finish, and hopefully you ended up, halfway decent at the end of the game. But yeah, those were some great battles.
Was he a smack talker at all? You don't seem like you were much of a smack talker.
No, I don't want to give them anything to hype them up more than what they already are. Most of the time, Bruce was pretty quiet unless, a guy put something in the paper or something. So it seemed like it wasn't like social media back then, but if somebody put something in the paper, they thought some kind of way they could get it up to Buffalo or whatever, or they would see it. But majority of the time, he wasn't a real huge talker, so that was a good thing as well.
That Lawrence Taylor absolutely loved. Was it you that gave up that half sack? Do you remember back to your rookie season?
I can't remember. What I can remember is, and I think Coach Belichick was the defensive coordinator, and I remember playing that game. It was a defense, and normally Lawrence Taylor and like the third down situation, Lawrence Taylor would be the right defensive end, and Carl Banks would be on the left. So, you watch film, you study it, you just that. So at the last minute, Carl Banks comes over to – I have Carl Banks and Lawrence Taylor on the same side, and I was, like, freaking out. And I was like, man, which one of these guys do I take? So I think Carl Banks was inside and No, I think Carl Banks was inside, and I think LT. So I said, well, I'm gonna just take Carl Banks, and I sat there. He just stood there, and LT shot up the field, and I think Marino got the ball off, and so I was going to the sideline, and I already knew about Coach Shula because if you messed up, you could feel the eyes just beaming right through you, and I didn't make eye contact, so I ran. So. My line coach Sanders, like, what the hell are you doing? I said, man, I've never seen that defense in my life. But I said, I didn't know who to take. And he was like, well, next time just sit back. And if, take one of them. If one of them doesn't come, take the other one, this and that. But, man, I just had my brain just froze up, and I didn't know what to do because I never saw that. And I give Coach Belichick good for welcoming a rookie like me to the league. He didn't have to do that to me, but I still remember that to this day.
And we kind of touched on it earlier, but you went against the time for the sacks. I mean, you talked about Derek Thomas, Reggie White, Bruce Smith. You had a battle, the second half of your career, Jason Taylor every day in practice. Who brought the biggest challenge to you? Whose game did maybe didn't mesh well with yours, or it just was always super challenging?
Well, it was good. Jason came in toward the latter part of my career. I think it's my 7th, 8th year. The good thing about Jason was you could tell he was going to be good, right away. Probably should have been drafted higher than like a 3rd-round pick. I mean, he was just long-ranging, but he knew how to rush the passer. So wasn't a big, strong guy, but played with great leverage and just had several good pass rush moves. So for me, it was good to work against Jason because he kept me fine-tuned for whoever I had to play on Sunday. So even if it was a speed guy, I could work against Jason, and I could kind of get the simulation that I need to work against, unless it was just a big, bulky, strong guy. That would be different. But that basically helped me stay fine-tuned. So it was great to work against Jason, and he's very competitive and this and that. So love that guy, but he was a really good player. So yeah.
I can't believe the memory on you. I don't remember what I did yesterday, but you're telling me plays that Belichick ran in 90. Like it's wild.
Well, you heard him. He didn't go out every night in South Beach. He was home by 10.
That's true.
I can't remember all the plays, but there's certain things that happen that you just don't forget. And I was just like, man, it taught you that just because you study film, this and that, you got to be prepared that you might get thrown something that you never seen before. So it forces you to say, okay, even though I haven't seen before, I got to make a decision, make an adjustment, and just go with what I know. And that's what that taught me. And even in life, everything is not going to be picture perfect. Everything is not going to go as planned. So sometimes you got to make adjustments on the fly. So it was just a learning moment, and I'm glad I didn't have a bunch of those. I can tell you that.
That's one of the things that bothers me with the decrease of youth football and the head injury stuff. Like, I understand the safety and this and that, but it really does teach you a lot of skills and things on how to fight through life, you know, how to tough it out, the discipline, the mental aspect of it. It really makes you sharp. I mean, you were studying film, like that's a brain workout, you know, that'll help you with memory down the road. It helps you day to day, you know, handling just what life throws at you.
And you're right. And I just never understood that, because I don't have boys, I have girls, but my daughter's played in a little soccer league. And now in a lot of sports or whatever, it's not about competition. It's just everybody gets a participation ribbon or award or whatever. And I'm like, no, sometimes you need to feel that pain, because you know what it feels like to win, but then you know what it feels like to lose. And not saying you're going to win at everything, but losing puts a taste in your mouth that if you get an opportunity again, maybe it forces you to say, okay, well, I got to work harder, this and that. But if you just go out and play a game and nobody takes score and say, okay, we all did good, it's nothing to motivate you to, like you said, to really work hard and say, okay, I can do this. Even though this happened, I can make it through this. I don't like this feeling, so I know I got to just buckle down and do more to get what I want. And you're right. I don't like that they kind of treat sports like that. You know, it's not about competition, but I'm like, life is about competition. So you're right about that.
Yeah, there's nothing I agree with you 100% on that for sure. All right, so we'll stop trying to test your memory now, and we'll jump into the present a little bit. So your final 2 years with the Dolphins, your offensive coordinator was Chan Gailey. So he's back again in the same position this year. He's the current offensive coordinator. So what can the fans and the team, what can you kind of expect out of his offense? How does that run? What are we looking at?
What I remember, loves to run the ball, and he had from what I remember, we had a pretty good balanced attack. So it wasn't like we were heavy on passing or running, but we did a good job of mixing it up to where we were just about 50-50 run and pass, and took advantage of situations. So he was good at, you know, looking at the down and distance, or sometimes he could, I guess, study the film or statistics and say, okay, normally on second and long, they'll play this type of defense. So this offensive play works with this. And then sometimes we would go, I think they call them RPOs now, but we used to call them check with me's back when I played. And basically, you put a run and a pass together, and based on what the defense gives you, quarterback has the option to go either way. So he was really good at doing that. So I think we're in good hands, and I'm looking forward to the season.
Absolutely.
With back to Chan, so a lot of talk was with letting go Chad O'Shea that his offense was too complicated, and one of the big attributes that Flores liked in Gailey was a much easier to pick up offense, especially the team being so young. I think there's only one player on the roster that's above 30. But is that how you found Chan Gailey's offense? A little bit easier to learn? And I mean, by the time he came in, you were in your 10th season, so probably everything was a little bit easier. But did you see that it was a little easier to learn?
It wasn't hard to learn, and I guess by that time I had just about everything. The terminology might play in, but if you're running a play between the left tackle and left guard, it's normally, you know, it might be called something from the previous coordinator, but it's basically the same play. There's only so many ways you can block a play or whatever. But I think he did a good job of looking at guys' strengths and weaknesses and putting guys in positions to maximize their talent at what they were really good at. And that's what I kind of remember. So Now you have so many offensive packages, this and that. So I'm sure everybody will be evaluated. And I love what we did the last couple of years in this draft. And the good thing, I like you said, Brian, you can have a great offense, but if nobody can understand it or comprehend it, it's not going to work well. So if you can simplify stuff and say, hey, this is how we're going to do it, this and that, and everybody understands it and everybody goes out and execute, you're going to be much more successful.
So we talked about it a little bit earlier. In 1990, you were drafted first round, and Keith Sims was drafted in the second round. So 30 years later now, Miami drafts Austin Jackson in the first round and Robert Hunt in the second round. Do you got any thoughts on those linemen? Have you seen them at all? Are you familiar with them? What are we looking at here? You think the future's bright with those two?
I think the future is definitely bright. I did like Larry Tunsil. I thought he was coming into his own.
Yeah.
But at the time, I hated to see him go because I thought he was really good. He was really starting to come into his own, but I understood. I hate to see him go, but I understood why they traded him to the Texans and, the compensation they got. So I was like, it's hard to pass up that type of compensation. So it was able to kind of help the Texans, but you go draft a guy like Jackson. Didn't watch a lot of USC, but from the highlights I saw during the draft, very athletic. I know he's a little young, but I think he'll be fine. He's going to pick it up. And then the guy we took in the second round, he's just a masher. I wouldn't want to line up in front of that guy. I mean, he's a mean, physical, tough guy. So I'm very happy with the draft selections they did. I think they did an excellent job.
That seems to be the direction that line's going, is they're bulking up big. I mean, I haven't looked at the numbers and projected starters and stuff, but if I had to guess, they're going to have a top 5 in terms of like weight and size. They got some big mashers up there.
Yeah, they got some big boys up there. Picked up Michael Dieter last year from Wisconsin. That's another school, Big Ten, big, physical, tough guys normally come out the Big Ten. So the way they're building it, it's going to be they're going to be pretty physical up front. So I love what I'm seeing.
Quick question for you, Richard. When Laramie switched, I think he was at number 68 or something, and he switched to 78. Did he reach out to you and say, "Hey, I wanted to take over your number," or he just did that on his own?
No, I think he did that on his own. I didn't have a problem with that. I was happy that, I remember when the Dolphins took him, coming out of Ole Miss, I watched a lot of SEC football, and I think he was projected to be top 5, and he slipped down. And when they took him, I was like, man, that's a no-brainer. You get a guy that's supposed to be top 5, and he slides down. And for him to play guard, and they eventually moved him out to the left tackle where he normally played, throughout his college career. I thought that was a great pick.
Now they have 3 new guys coming in this season on the O-line that they drafted. That we also failed to mention Solomon Kinley, but so they're all just like you, young kids coming out. They have new draft pick money. They're coming to South Beach, but also just coming to the NFL. What advice would you give these guys to coming in, learning, and getting ready to play? Especially, I mean, we have a shortened off season, and that I gotta imagine the coming to Miami and playing with that heat and learning about hydration has to be a huge part of it too.
Oh, no question. The humidity plays a huge factor. But now, I remember they now have a bubble. We never had a bubble to practice in. So things have changed, and teams have, I guess, came forward a little bit as far as their facilities. And I think they really realized how much, because I can remember practicing in that hot, humid weather, and a lot of times that just drains you. So, I think they know that if you can get in the bubble and sometimes kind of keep the guys a little cooler, they'll be fresher on Sundays. But main thing I would suggest is just coming in best shape as possible, ready to play, ready to learn, and to try to get your contract negotiations worked out. Hopefully they can get that worked out early. I think that's what paid huge dividends for me and Keith. We didn't hold out very long, and we got in there and we was able to get the installation of the offensive system, because during training camp every day we were studying, installing new plays. So if you hold out most of the preseason or training camp, you're going to miss a lot of that. And it's hard to get caught up. Some guys eventually play, but I think the transition is just much better if you can get there, get the timing, the speed of the game, get adjusted to all that.
So I love that they do that rookie symposium. We don't even teach kids in high school how to handle money. Like that should be a big thing, you know? Like I don't even know how to balance a checkbook. I don't even know if I've ever written a check, Richmond. So I'm all digital over here, baby, you know? Okay. What did they have that rookie symposium in your day, or was that a new thing?
It came after I came to the league, but no, we didn't have it in 90. I know I didn't go to the rookie symposium, so they didn't have it. But I thought that, like you said, that's a great thing, not only with managing money, but just being careful of some of the people you hang out with. You know, it's going to be guys that just want to be around you they'll try to befriend you, but they have a different angle, whether they're trying to run a scam to get money from you or, you know, you don't know if they got drugs, where it's just so many people. You just got to really be aware of your surroundings and really have the people that you kind of surround yourself thoroughly checked out. And sometimes, even though you do that, some guys still can, or some people can still infiltrate the system. So, but the more you use those resources, the better it normally come out.
Yeah,
maybe
unfortunately,
if you had that symposium that you would have went and bought those warehouses down in South Beach and turned that over.
They probably wouldn't have told me about that because they said we need to buy that. But
they're trying to keep it for themselves.
Guys talked about that. I was like, man, if I could just got one of these warehouses. If you ever been to South Beach, there's even some older hotels that was down there that still have like window unit, AC units in it. So I'm like, you know, it's really, really old, but man, it's a hot spot right now. That's a gold mine. So that would have been really good if I would have been smart enough to even try to get a piece of that real estate back then.
Richard,
I got one more question I want to circle back to that we didn't cover. You went from Don Shula, disciplinary. I mean, everyone I ever hear explains them. The first two words out of their mouth are disciplinarian and integrity. And then you went to another Hall of Fame coach in 95 to Jimmy Johnson, another intense disciplinarian. Did you guys even notice? What was that like?
Well, I think the difference was, I mean, we knew of Coach Johnson. I remember when he was at Dallas and, you know, success he had, you know, winning back-to-back Super Bowls. And so I knew he was a great coach. And I knew about him when I was in college because he was at the University of Miami. So I knew about, you know, those great teams back in the late 80s and stuff like that. I think the thing was just we wasn't Coach Johnson guys. So if you were a guy that were already there and wasn't drafted by him, you know, I always just kind of looked at it that he'd be less tolerant. So I said, let me just, if I continue to focus and work hard and do the things, I should be okay. But if guys were like a counselor, didn't want to buy into the system, you know, he got them out of there. And, you know, he even told guys, I can remember first training camp, and he told guys, he said, you know, guys, he said, if you're first rounder, you're pretty good second round. He said, but I'll cut a third rounder. Most people don't cut third rounders. So, you know, he let it be known. And then after he said it, he said, if you don't believe me, check my track record. I have cut third. I was like, man, this guy here ain't no joke. So walked on eggshells a little bit, but once he kind of settled down and he kind of figured out that, you know, you're going to work and do this, I didn't have any problems with Coach Johnson.
I was hearing the other day that they said Dan Marino, that everybody had to earn, even the vets had to earn the roster spot that first year, that Dan Marino was the first guy on the roster. The second guy was surprisingly Larry Izzo. Do you know where you fell in line with that? Were you?
I don't know, but I was in the 53. As long as I made the 53. Matter of fact, I was just talking to one of my teammates. We were just talking about that last week, and we were watching. We were. I was talking to him, and I remember because we were like watching film, and it was special teams. They had special teams real on, and Larry Izzo made a couple of plays or whatever, and Coach Johnson stopped the film and turned the lights on and told him, "So Larry Izzo, you call your parents and let them know you just made the team or whatever. And everybody's kind of like, wow. So that was pretty cool. But, I think Larry was, if he wasn't a free agent, he was like fifth, sixth. He wasn't a high draft round pick.
Yeah, undrafted free agent. Yeah.
Yeah, he was. I mean, he busted his tail, worked hard, and he was a backup linebacker, but one of the best at playing special teams I ever played with. And even when he left here, he went to New England, he still carried that on. So, great player.
So we're about to wrap up here with you, man. We won't hold you too long. What's today looking like, man? You just relaxing and enjoying life, spending family time? What?
I am relaxing in the house. Believe it or not, I'm in Houston, Texas area, and today it was 100 degrees outside. So I'm gonna wait down to about 7 o'clock. I've been running my sprinklers, but it's been so hot, so I'm gonna go and maybe water certain spots in my front yard because it's just. Man, the heat is brutal here now, so I try to wait till the evening, sun get out and just water the yard a little bit and just take it easy. But yeah, that's it. I'm just hanging with the family.
Awesome. I just bought my first house, and my friend was yelling at me the other day because I was watering my lawn at 1 p.m. He said, "What are you new? You don't do that at 1 p.m. First thing in the morning or late at night."
That's it. Hey, you get a couple of those water bills, you'll figure it out pretty quick. Yeah, so, yeah, he's just trying to save you some money, Brian.
Nothing wrong with that. All right. Well, we appreciate you coming on with us, man. You've been great. That was awesome. We really appreciate your time.
Yeah, Richmond, thank you so much. It was an honor.
Yeah, I look forward to it. I mean, like I said, follow you guys on Twitter, this and that, and y'all always show me love. I did the dad joke and anything to help promote Dolphins football, I'm all in for it. So, I'm glad to be on the show, and maybe we can do it later on in the season once everything gets started.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. Yeah, that'd be great if we could bring you in maybe like the midway point, kind of catch up on some stuff, see where the season's looking and how's everything going.
That sounds like a plan. I have no problem with that.
Awesome.
Well,
thanks
Richard,
again for coming on.
Okay.
Cord.
So that was our Richmond Webb interview. Sorry. All right. Now restart that, dude. I'm sorry. So that was our Richmond Webb interview. Brian, that was awesome, dude. I was trying so hard not to just cheese the whole time. Some of those stories, the old school stuff, I loved it. He's great. Yeah,
absolutely. That was quite an honor I don't understand how Richmond Webb is not in the Pro Football Hall of Fame. You look at linemen with 7-time Pro Bowlers and 4-time first team or second team All-Pro, all-decade team. I mean, this is a true legend of the Miami Dolphins. In 2006, he was inducted into the Miami Dolphin Ring of Honor. Anytime you go to the Hard Rock Stadium, you'll see 78 up there. To have him on that was cool.
Bro, you took a deep dive. That Bruce Smith sack, only giving up 3.5 sacks to Bruce Smith in his career, man. That's insane. That should be Hall of Fame worthy. That alone.
That alone, yeah.
He was up for the Hall of Fame this year, right? And he didn't get in.
Yeah, he's got about 5 years of eligibility. I think you're eligible for 15 years after. Wait, no, 20. I don't know, 15 or 20 years after you retire. He retired, I believe, in 2003. So he's only got a few more years left of eligibility before then he'd go to the Legends part of trying to get.
Yeah. No, I saw he was a nominee though. He finished as a nominee for this past year. He should definitely make it that next year, if I had to guess.
Dan Marino and Jason Taylor need to get out there and start campaigning for him. Especially I think Dan Marino.
Yeah, I think Dan Marino. If you hear this, man, get out there and campaign for your boy. He kept you upright.
Absolutely.
All right, so that was an awesome show. Hopefully, we will do our best to get him back on. He's a busy guy. We'll try to get him back on during the season. That'd be great to go over first half of the season with him or so. So I think that's definitely something we should try out. Before we go though, what's up with the fantasy football stuff? The Fin Addicts Fantasy Football League we got going on.
Yeah, everyone, if you haven't jumped in already, we're already filling the third league, but we're doing a Fin Addicts Network Fantasy Football League this year. We'll have on the Sleeper app, we'll make as many 12-person leagues as needed, $50 entry. Each league will have its own payout of $400 for first place, $150 for second, and $50 for third. but also the Fin Addicts are going to give you guys an extra prize. The grand champion of all the leagues will get 2 free tickets to the MetLife Takeover in New York. And also we will come up with a Fin Addicts trophy for the grand winner. So if you're not in already, definitely hit us up on Twitter at Fin_Addicts, or you can email us at info@finaddictsnetwork.com.
Awesome. Also, we put up that Fin Addicts face off too. Saw it was getting a little love on Twitter. So don't forget to check that out as well. Brian already gave you the Twitter handle. We're also on YouTube. Go subscribe, please. The Fin Addicts Network on YouTube. You can get that interview we just did, some clips, and we'll have a whole bunch more stuff. Hopefully, we can get some more former players. It'd be sweet. Get some more insight, huh?
Yeah, absolutely. And don't forget, we're on Spotify. We're on Google Podcasts, and we're on Apple iTunes. So follow us, subscribe, leave us a review and a rating. We'll definitely be doing some giveaways, including some subscriptions on Apple iTunes. So stay tuned for that as well.
Awesome. Thanks for the info, man. Anything else? We're all good, huh? Call it a wrap.
Yeah, great night.
Yeah, it was a good night, man. That was a lot of fun. Thank you for listening. Thank you for joining us. Hope you guys enjoyed it as much as we did. See ya.
Fins up, baby.